Shastram among many wonderful Rahasya Granthams. This one is considered as his most wonderful, most in-depth Grantham about our Sampradayam principles. We have been seeing the meanings for this wonderful Grantham with the help of Manavada commentary. We have seen up to 14th Sutram. Now we will start from 15th Sutram today. Sri Shailesha Dayapatram Dibhaktyadi Gunarnavam Yatindra Pravanam Mande Ramya Jamataram Munim Ramya Jamatri Yogindra Padarekhamayam Sada Tadayattat Sattadim Ramanujamunim Bhaje Lokacharyaye Gurave Krishna Padasya Sunave Samsara Bhogi Sandashta Jiva Jivatave Namaha Lokagurum Guruvis Saha Purvehi Pura Kulottama Dasa Mudharam Sri Nagavatya Abhinama Vareshav Deep Prashayana Gurincha Bhajeham. We saw in the 14th Sutram how bhagavAn assumed the roles of Acharya, purushakAraththukku, that is pirAtti, and his own duty of being the upAyam. And all of these were greatly explained in Mahabharatam, and hence Mahabharatam speaks about the greatness of bhagavAn in the form of Krishna, who is doing all these favors for Arjuna and many others. Arjuna was considered as the main example, but in the case of Krishna Avataram, bhagavAn has done this to many personalities, many of his devotees. So we saw all of these in yesterday's session in 14th Sutram. Now we will move on to 15th Sutram. From the 15th Sutram, it is explained, this is still continuing on with the greatness of upAyam and purushakAram as well. In the last Sutram, the specific greatness of bhagavAn being upAyam is highlighted, but now again Lokacharya goes back to the greatness of purushakAram and upAyam. He is explaining them. So let us see Mamnigal's introduction first, and then we will move on to the Sutram. In the introduction, Mamnigal highlights that separately Lokacharya identified the greatness of purushakAram and upAyam and their distinguished greatness. Now, the common greatness for both of the aspects, that is purushakAram and upAyam, that is pirAtti and Perumal, that is being identified in this particular Sutram, in the 15th Sutram. The 15th Sutram is purushakAraththukkum, upAyaththukkum, vaibhavamAvadhu, dhOshaththaiyum, guNahAniyaiyum pArththu, upEkshiyAdha aLavanRikkE, angIkAraththukku avai thannaiyE pachchaiyAkkugai. So this is a very nice Sutram where the common greatness of pirAtti and Perumal, who are having the roles of purushakAram and upAyam, are having the qualities of purushakAram and upAyam, their greatness are highlighted here in this particular Sutram. What are the specific greatness for them is they both are of the nature that instead of seeing the defects and lack of good qualities in Jivatmas and pushing them away, they consider such qualities, that is the defects and lack of good qualities, as the reason for their acceptance. That is the greatness of Perumal and pirAtti. In simple terms, if we see an example, we will understand. Let's say there is father and mother, they have a child, and when there is a particular defect in the child, and when the child is having not having any good qualities, the parents will show some special care towards such children, special attention, special love, so that such children will be reformed. So this is an easy example for us to understand. Similarly, bhagavAn and pirAtti, they are seeing these defects and lack of good qualities as the main reason for their acceptance, instead of pushing the atmas away from them. So that is the simple explanation for this particular sutram. Mamnigal has given detailed explanation for the same. Let us see Mamnigal's explanation. Previously, as we saw, Pililokacharya explained the individual greatness, specifically what is the special greatness for purushakAram, that is pirAtti, and what is the special greatness for upAyam, bhagavAn. Now he is taking them together and explaining the common greatness. What is common between pirAtti and Perumal? Both of them are focused on uplifting the Jivatma. For that, they are taking so many efforts. Even the Jivatmas who are not showing any interest towards them, they are trying to reform such Jivatmas and accept them. So that is the common greatness for both of them. So that particular aspect is explained here. Now he starts explaining the first section here. What is dhOsham and what is guNahAni? That particular aspect is explained here. dhOsham means all the akritya karana nishiddhanushtanam. Akritya karana means Shastram says don't do certain things. Doing such acts, engaging in such acts is akritya karanam. Similarly, nishiddhanushtanam. Nishiddhanushtanam means engaging in lowly activities. That is also dhOsham. Now, what is guNahAni? Lack of good qualities. That means not engaging in activities which are ordained in Shastram. Vihita akaranam. So, these two are highlighted here as the meaning for dhOsham and guNahAni. dhOsham means engaging in lowly activities and engaging in activities which are forbidden in Shastram. For example, Shastram says don't eat onion, garlic, kalanjamna bakshiyet. So there is one statement in Shastram. So these items like onion, garlic, and there are so many things when we look at aharaniyamam, there are so many things to be avoided. Now all of these are to be avoided, but many people eat such food items. Whatever is forbidden, whatever is not allowed for us, people are eating them. So that will fall under akritya karanam. So that is a defect. And then nishiddhanushtanam means very lowly activities like engaging in cheating, engaging in robbery, engaging in so many other activities, whether they are subtle or physical or gross. Any of those aspects, if one engages in that, that means that is akritya akaranam. So engaging in activities which are forbidden in Shastram. And then kritya akaranam, vihita akaranam, that is vihita akaranam means Shastram says snatva bunjita. You have to eat after taking bath only. That is an order. So no food, not even water can be consumed before taking bath. Only after taking bath one can consume anything. So this is an order given in an affirmative sense. In an affirmative sense. When we don't follow this order, that is vihita akaranam. This is similar to engaging in sandhyavandanam, engaging in nitya karmanushtanam, naimitika karmanushtanam. All of these will fall under this aspects, vihita krityams. So when one does not follow, then that becomes vihita akaranam. So these two are highlighted as dhOsham and guNahAni. dhOsham means defect, guNahAni means lack of good qualities, good conduct. Now, Mamnigal highlights how Emberamanar Bhagavad Ramanuja showed all of these in his Gadyam, Sharanagati Gadyam, Manovakayahi, starting with that particular caption. Emberamanar highlights many aspects in his Gadyam. Manovakayahi, Anadikala Pravrithan, Ananta Akrityakarana, Krityakarana, Bhagavatapachara, Bhagavatapachara, Asahyapachara Rupa, Nanavida, Ananta Apacharan, Arabdhakaryan, Ararabdhakaryan, Kritan, Kriyamanan, Karishyamanan, Cha Sarvan Asheshatah Kshamaswaha. So, this is what Emberamanar prays to Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha in Sri Sharanagati Gadyam, where he prays to Bhagavan Sri Ranganatha to forgive all the Kritya Akaranams, Akritya Karanams, and Bhagavadapacharam, Bhagavadapacharam, Asahyapacharam, whatever is done in the past, whatever is done now, whatever is going to be done in the future. So, Bhagavad Ramanuja is praying to Bhagavan so that Bhagavan forgives all of those. So, in that particular Churnika, it is explained by Bhagavad Ramanuja. Shastram is in the form of orders in affirmative sense and in restraining sense. That is, idam kuru, idam makarshi, idam makarshihi. So these are, idam kuru means do this, idam makarshihi means don't do this. So Shastram is full of these orders. So one has to follow this particular vidhi and nishedams. It is also, Shastram is all of the Shastram is Bhagavan's orders. So we have to respect them. Bhagavan himself says, Shruti Smritir Mamaivagya, Agyas Yastam Ullangya Vartate, Agyas Chedi Mama Drohi Mad Bhaktopi Na Vaishnavaha. He says, Shruti and Smriti, they are all my orders. One who engages contrary to what I have ordered in Shastram, even if they are Vaishnavas, they cannot be considered, even if they are my devotees, they cannot be considered as Vaishnavas. So that is Bhagavan's direct order in Sri Pancharatra Agamam, where he says that Shruti has to be respected, Vedam, Shastram has to be respected. So all of these are explained to highlight the importance of dhOsham and guNahAni. What is ordered in Shastram, that must be followed. What is rejected in Shastram, that must be avoided. But many times the Jivatmas are engaged in the contrary way. When they engage in contrary way, Bhagavan and pirAtti consider that as the reason to accept and to reform the Jivatmas. That is the point here. Now, Bhagavan has sometimes said some harsh words, Kshipami, Nakshamami. So all of these harsh words and Jivatmas becoming target of these harsh words, the reason for that is not following his orders. That is the reason for that. But when such Jivatma is turning towards Bhagavan, when the Jivatma is becoming favorable towards Bhagavan, at that time Bhagavan considers all of these to be forgotten. He doesn't see the defects of the Jivatma. That is what is going to be explained subsequently. So instead of punishing those who are engaged, those who are having dhOsham and guNahAni, Bhagavan and pirAtti, they are accepting the Jivatmas even with those defects, considering the defects as the reason for their acceptance, because they understand, both of them understand that Jivatmas have no other goal than the divine couple. So they accept even those Jivatmas, when they are having these doshams and gunahanis, the defects and lack of good qualities. So when Pililokacharya says angIkAraththukku avai pachchaiyAkkugai, now that is explained by Mamanigal. So these defects, bhagavAn and pirAtti, both of them are seeing them as the reason for their acceptance. This is similar to the example given is how a mother cow will look at the dirt on the newborn calf and just lick those dirt and clean the calf. That is out of vatsalyam, that is out of the motherly care. Similarly, all the jivatmas who have defects and lack of good conduct, even they are considered by bhagavAn and pirAtti out of their motherly affection, and they accept these jivatmas. Now we may wonder why there are so many jivatmas in Prakriti. Even after Bhagavan's efforts to accept the jivatma, even after Piratti's efforts to accept the jivatmas, they are having so much sense that they are still moving away. That is why they are losing out. Otherwise, with the effort which is put by Bhagavan and Piratti, one should come to the stage of having devotion towards them. Now, the reason why Bhagavan and Piratti are not pushing them away is because they have qualities such as daya, shanti, and so on. Daya is mercy, compassion. Shanti means being neutral towards the jivatmas and understanding that they are doing mistakes due to being present in this material world and they are not intentionally doing that. So these are the reasons for not pushing the jivatmas away. Now the reason for acceptance, the reason for not pushing away is compassion and shanti, daya and shanti. For accepting them, even after knowing their defects, Bhagavan and Pirati are accepting these jivatmas because they have vatsalyam. This vatsalyam is the quality which is explained as the love of mother cow towards its newborn calf. So this vatsalyam is the main quality which is present in Bhagavan and Pirati, which is the reason for Bhagavan and Pirati accepting the jivatmas. Not pushing away is because they have compassion, thinking that where will they go if we also push them out. Accepting them, taking care of their lives, that is done because of vatsalyam. So there is a subtle difference that is also shown here. Now, the mother cow's nature is shown here. The same mother cows generally, when they step on grass, that particular grass they will not accept. That is the nature of cow. The cows are very pure in that sense. But the same cow have motherly affection towards newborn calf, and mother cow licks the dirt and cleans the newborn calf. So that is the greatness of this this motherly affection, this vatsalyam. There is no quality which matches this vatsalyam. It is also explained how Nammalvar highlighted this quality of vatsalyam, Nigaril Pugalai. So in this pasram, Agalagillen Irayim என்று அலர்மேல் மங்கை உரைமார்பா நிகரில் புகழாய் உலகம் மூன்றுடையாய் என்னை ஆழ்வானே நிகரில் அமரர் முனிக்கணங்கள் விரும்பும் திருவேங்கடத்தானே புகழொன்றில்லாடியேன் உன் அடிக்கீழ் அமர்ந்து புகுந்தேனே. In this pasram, Nammalvar highlights the four important qualities of Bhagavan: Vatsalyam, Swamitvam, Saushilyam, and Saulabhyam. In that, the first quality which is identified is Nigaril Pugalai. Nigaril Pugal means a good quality which is glorified. Nigaril Pugal means the incomparable, the quality which has no match in anyone else. Only the natural father and mother, that is Bhagavan and Pirati, they will have natural overwhelming love towards all the Jivatmas. So this quality is highlighted as Nigaril Pugal, the incomparable quality of Vatsalyam. Similarly, Udayavar, that is Embemanar Bhagavad Ramanuja, he also in his Gadyam explained Apara Karunya Saushilya Vatsalya Ardava Marjava. He explains many different qualities, and then finally he says Ashrita Vatsalyaika Jalade. So this particular quality is specifically identified. Even though Vatsalya is identified as one of the qualities in Sharanagati Gadyam by Bhagavad Ramanuja, while highlighting the greatness of Bhagavan, he also specifically highlights Ashrita Vatsalyaika Jalade, one who has great motherly affection towards the devotees. That particular quality is separately identified one more time. So from that we can understand this Vatsalyam is the most important quality of Bhagavan, which makes him accept all the Jivatmas. Again, it is same for pirAtti also. Now, Mahamnigal also highlights another important point. This Vatsalyam, due to having the motherly relationship with the Jivatmas, it will be even higher in pirAtti, he says. Mahamnigal says, though it is a common quality which is found in Bhagavan and pirAtti, this particular quality will be even more in pirAtti because she has this motherly relationship. That particular reason is also highlighted here. So in this manner, Bhagavan and pirAtti, they are competing with each other to ignore the defects of Jivatma and accept the Jivatma. So that is explained in this 15th Sutram by Mamnigal in this commentary. So next is 16th Sutram. In this particular Sutram, let us see Mamnigal's introduction. Now this purushakAram and upAyam are related to Bhagavan and pirAtti accepting the Jivatmas even before the defects of the Jivatmas go away, and even before the Jivatmas acquire good qualities. It is very nicely explained in the next Sutram when you will understand when we see them together. So Bhagavan and pirAtti are accepting the Jivatmas even before the defects are eliminated and even before they acquire good conduct. Now, why is that? And what is the problem if Bhagavan and pirAtti only accept the Jivatma after eliminating all the good defects and after the Jivatma acquires good qualities? That is the question here. The question is, we said in the previous sutram, it is said that Bhagavan and pirAtti accepts the Jivatmas even when they have defects and when they have no good qualities, good conduct. Now the question is, why should they do it? Why should they not wait until the Jivatmas become pure and acquire good conduct and then only accept the Jivatma under them? That is the question here. What is the problem? What will be the shortcoming? What will be the defect in Bhagavan and pirAtti if they do it like that? That is the question. For that, in this sutram, Pillalokacharya is giving the answer. iraNdum kulaiyavENum enRu iraNdukkum uNdAyiRRadhAm. The simple meaning for this sutram, again these sutrams, without Mamnigal's commentary, we cannot understand anything. Even with the context, the sutrams are in such a manner that they will be cryptic. One needs a little bit of understanding of the context of the sampradayam and so on. But the commentator will give sufficient explanation so that the sutrams are clearly understood. So Mamnigal's commentary plays a very vital role in making us understand these principles clearly. So let us see the simple meaning for this particular sutram. iraNdum kulaiyavENum and irukkil. Now irandu, that is two. First two is Bhagavan and pirAtti. Second two is dhOsham and guNahAni. If Bhagavan and pirAtti wait for the defects to go away and the good conduct to come about in the Jivatma, if they wait until that happens, then enRu, if they remain like that, iraNdukkum uNdAyiRRadhAm. For Bhagavan and pirAtti, defects will come in and lack of good conduct will come in. So if Bhagavan and pirAtti wait for the Jivatmas to have complete purity, then Perumal and pirAtti, they will not be considered as completely pure. That is the conclusion, says Pililokacharya. We will understand it with the commentary. Let us see the commentary. Now first, iraNdum kulaiyavENum enRukkil. Now also we have to understand here the acceptance is not liberation. The first level of acceptance, the Jivatma is being accepted by pirAtti. That is, pirAtti makes the Jivatma come and surrender to Bhagavan, and then at that time Bhagavan accepts the surrender. That is the aspect which is being highlighted here. It is not about liberation, because at the time of liberation, naturally, the Jivatma will be completely pure. That is the stage one will reach while getting liberated. So there is no question of Jivatma having defects and lack of good conduct while getting liberated. At the final moment, when the Jivatma leaves this body and reaching Paramapadam, at that time the Jivatma will be pure. So the acceptance, the talk of acceptance is about initial acceptance. When the Jivatma is in this samsara, in this material world, he is not having any intention, any interest towards Bhagavan or pirAtti. At that time, Bhagavan and pirAtti are voluntarily going towards the Jivatma and trying to accept the Jivatmas. That particular acceptance is what is being talked about in this section. Now, first, Mamanigal clarifies the first iraNdum, that is purushakAra and upAya, that is Bhagavan and pirAtti and Bhagavan. iraNdum kulaiyavENum enRukkil. That is, when Bhagavan or pirAtti, when both of them, this is common for both. When Bhagavan and pirAtti, when the Jivatma is present with defects and lack of good conduct, at that time, if they think that only when the Jivatma becomes pure without any defects, and only when the Jivatma acquires good conduct, I will accept them. That is what is iraNdum kulaiyavENum enRukkil. Now, if that is the case, if Bhagavan and pirAtti wait like that, iraNdukkum uNdAyiRRadhAm. Now, the next aspect, iraNdukkum uNdAyiRRadhAm. Both will acquire both. That is what the simple meaning is. Now, both purushakAram and upAyam, that is pirAtti and Bhagavan, they will acquire both. Both means defect and lack of good conduct. So that will occur in both of them. That is what is being said here. Let us see Mamanigal's commentary. Now, how is that explained? dhOsham, first dhOsham, acquiring dhOsham is explained. Acquiring defects is explained. Tvam mata sarvalokanam devadevo harihi pita akila jagan mataram pitasi lokasya characharasya. In all of these shlokams, for all the Jivatmas, pirAtti is the mother and Bhagavan is the father. That is explained in all of these slokams. Tvam mata sarvalokanam devadevo harihi pita. You are the mother of all of the world, and Hari is the pita of all of the world. Devadeva Hari. Devadevo Hari. That is the Lord of all lords, Hari. He is the pita of the entire universe. Akila Jagan Mataram. This is from Gadyam, where Ramanujar says, Akila Jagan Mataram, you are the Lord of all. And then Pitasi Lokasya Characharasya. This is from Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, this is not from Bhagavad Gita. This is from Sharanagati Gadyam. But this is originally from Bhagavad Gita. Pitasi Lokasya Characharasya Tvamasya Pujyascha Gurur Gariyan Natvat Samostabhyadika Kutonyo Lokatrayopya Pratima Prabhava. This slokam is originally from Gita, but it is quoted in Sharanagati Gadyam by Bhagavad Ramanuja. As said, all of these quotes, for all of the world, pirAtti is the real mother and bhagavAn is the real father. So when they are real mother and real father, the they have such a relationship with all the jivatmas that all their good and bad belong to all the good and bad of the jivatmas belong to bhagavAn and pirAtti. Just like, for example, um, there is a father and mother. They have a son. If the son is behaving badly, naturally the whole world will blame the parents. They say this is how the parents have raised the children. So all of the defects in the son will impact the parents in one way or the other. So here, when the when pirAtti and bhagavAn leaves the jivatmas on their own and does not help them when they have defects, then naturally the corollary will be all the defects the children have belong to the parents. So they will acquire dosham in this particular manner. So this is the way for their relationship. There is a break. The parental relationship between jivatmas and bhagavAn and pirAtti, that will get impacted if they don't accept the jivatmas. Hence, that is how they get dosham. They acquire defects by not acknowledging and accepting the jivatmas. Now, guNahAni, how does they acquire lack of good conduct? That is, when looking at the jivatmas, they are suffering in this world, and look when they are suffering, if the parents, natural parents, being natural parents, if bhagavAn and pirAtti remain undisturbed, they are not cared, they are not bothered about the uh, fate of the jivatmas, their children, and also they should consider the defects of the jivatma as enjoyable, just as the parents of a very young baby toddler, they will see whatever um, defects in that child as enjoyable. Even if the child says blah blah blah, they will say, oh look, my child is speaking some beautiful words. So that is how the parents have to look at the defects of the children. Similarly, that is how bhagavAn and pirAtti should look at the defects of the jivatmas. But when they don't do it, then it will imply that they don't have good conduct, they don't have nice quality of being a good parent. So that is the way they get guNahAni, that is lack of good qualities. So when bhagavAn and pirAtti don't accept the jivatmas with their defects and with their lack of good qualities, bhagavAn and pirAtti themselves will acquire these defects and good qualities. That is the explanation here. Now, Mamnigal further explains what is Kritya Akaranam and then what is Akritya Karanam. All of this in the context of pirAtti and bhagavAn separately. Let us see that. Now, Akritya Karana, that is dhOsham, and then Kritya Akarana, that is guNahAni. We have already seen that dhOsham means dhOsham means engaging in forbidden activities. That is Akritya Karanam, that is dhOsham. Then guNahAni means lack of good qualities, which means Kritya Akaranam. One should do certain activities that they are not doing. So here in context of bhagavAn and pirAtti, that is explained. All these aspects are explained in bhagavAn and pirAtti's context. Let us see that. Now what is the Akritya Karanam, that is dhOsham for pirAtti, when she um, does not bring the jivatma closer to bhagavAn, what is the dhOsham in her? That particular aspect is considered, explained here by Mamunigal. pirAtti by nature will not even allow bhagavAn to see the defects of jivatma. So if such pirAtti who unites the jivatma with the bhagavAn by hiding the defects of jivatma from bhagavAn, if such pirAtti herself sees defects in the jivatma and does not help him, then that becomes a dhOsham, that becomes a defect in pirAtti. Now, what is kritya akaranam? It is her duty to not see the defects of jivatma and unite the jivatma with bhagwan. When she does not do it, that means what is to be done, she is not doing. So it becomes kritya akaranam. So this may get a little bit confusing, but if we repeatedly see it, then we will have better clarity. All of these need to be seen a couple of times, a few times. We have to look at the grantham, we have to understand the context, and then only we will have better clarity, 100% clarity. But still, we can understand to some extent. So, kritya akaranam, akritya karanam. Kritya akaranam is lack of good conduct. Akritya karanam is defect. So we have seen that in the beginning itself. Now kritya akaranam and akritya karanam, these two are explained for pirAtti, and that is what we saw now. Akritya karanam means she should not see the defects of the jivatma. If she sees that, then she is doing what she is not supposed to do. So in that case, that becomes a dhOsham for her. Similarly, kritya akarana means she should bring the jivatma to bhagavān, but she is not doing it. Then it becomes kritya akaranam for her. It becomes lack of good conduct for her. Similarly, for bhagavān, Ishvara, akritya karanam means for the samsari chetana, instead of looking at the inferior nature of the samsari chetana, he should accept the jivatma. That is his nature, because he is having the natural relationship, he is the natural father for everyone, and he is also trying in so many ways to accept the jivatma, to bring the jivatma towards him. Such sarvabhuta suhrit, that is one who is having kind heart towards everyone, if he sees the defects of the jivatma and says, I won't accept you, then that becomes a defect for bhagavān himself. Similarly, kritya akaranam, that is lack of good qualities for bhagavān. What is that? It is bhagavān who should accept the defects of jivatma and then eliminate them, eliminate the defects of jivatma for the well-being of the jivatma. So that is the duty of bhagavān. If he doesn't do it, citing that he has no good qualities, the jivatma doesn't have any good qualities, if bhagavān cites that as the reason and abandons the jivatma, then that becomes akritya, kritya akarana. So he is supposed to do the favor for the jivatma, but if he doesn't do it, then it becomes kritya akaranam. So all of these are explained by Mamnigal here, and finally he is also explaining one important principle. Now when we say akritya karanam and kritya akaranam, they are, for jivatmas, they are different. They are based on shastram. Shastram says you have to do this and you have to refrain from these. So that is what the scale for jivatmas. But for Paramatma and pirAtti, that is not the scale. It is their nature which is the scale. By nature, they are very compassionate. By their nature, they are very, very merciful. It is because of their nature only these two aspects are highlighted. We should not suddenly start thinking that, oh, if Bhagavan does not help the Jivatma, then he becomes defective as per Shastram. That is not the case. As per Shastram, it is his right to punish the Jivatmas. But as per his nature, as per his compassion, as per his good qualities, he is having this greatness. Similarly, pirAtti is having greatness. So, pirAtti and bhagavAn, this Krityakaranam and Akrityakaranam, they are based on their nature and not based on Shastram for them. So, that is also highlighted here by Mamnigal, because these are subtle points. We may start thinking that, oh, if we doesn't do it, then he will get punishment in as per Shastram. That is not the case. He is Nirankusha Swatantra. Nobody can punish him. Nobody can question him. Yet, by his compassionate nature, Mamnigal is saying that these qualities are observed in him. So that is the nature. Now, one more final point is highlighted by Mamnigal. No, this is never going to happen. That pirAtti or bhagavAn, they are never going to have defects. Sri Mahalakshmi and Sriman Narayana, they are always trying to help the Jivatmas. They are always being very compassionate towards Jivatmas. So, this particular situation of when these two do not have, when these two, that is bhagavAn and pirAtti, when they expect the Jivatma to be fully purified of defects and lack of good quality, then, then only they will accept them. And if they don't accept the jivatmas in particular cases, then they will acquire defects and lack of good conduct. That is never going to happen, because that is contrary to the nature of bhagavAn and pirAtti. They are always merciful and they are always looking out for the welfare of all the jivatmas. But why is that Pililokacharya is highlighting this point as if this can happen? It will never happen. But as if this can happen, why is he identifying this particular aspect? Mamnigal is even explaining that particular principle, because people may misunderstand. Oh, it seems that there may be times when bhagavAn and pirAtti will have defects. That misunderstanding may come in the mind. That is not the case. So Mamnigal explains that this is to show the nature of bhagavAn and pirAtti, not to say that they may acquire defect and lack of good qualities sometimes. That is not the purpose of the sutram. The purpose of the sutram is to highlight that bhagavAn and pirAtti are always of the nature that they will help the jivatmas irrespective of the jivatmas defects and lack of good qualities. So to establish this to those who don't know the greatness of bhagavAn and pirAtti, Pililokacharya has written this particular sutram. So that is the another important aspect which is identified by Mamnigal in the commentary. So that is 16th sutram. Next we will see 17th sutram. This is very important for Atmas, because this is important for us to understand. Many oftentimes we think like this, and Pililokacharya is saying that we should never think like that. This thought is common for every one of us. Let us see Mamnigal's introduction. Now, Pililokacharya explained that only if the defects and lack of good qualities they are eliminated, bhagavAn will accept or pirAtti will accept. Otherwise, if they think like that, if they think that only after eliminating the defects and lack of good qualities I will accept or we will accept, then that brings defects and lack of good qualities in bhagavAn and pirAtti. When we say this, now suddenly we all who are reading these granthams, we may start thinking, oh, now bhagavAn has accepted us. That means we have been freed from all our defects and lack of good qualities. Now we have acquired good qualities and we are free from defects. That one may get that thought process. Now that bhagavAn accepted, we are free from all defects and we are free from all lack of good qualities. One may think like that. For that, Pililokacharya is explaining in this particular sutram, in the 17th sutram, that that is not the case. 17th sutram is iraNdum kulaindhadhu irukkil ittalaikku iraNdum uNdAyiRRadhAm. iraNdum kulaindhadhu irukkil. iraNdum kulaindhadhu, that means the jivatma thinking that I have been rid of all my defects and I am having all the good qualities, all good conduct now. If we think Like that, ithalaiki means for jivatmas. iraNdum uNdAyiRRadhAm. iraNdum means both defect and lack of good qualities will again will come more. That is what is explained in this particular sutram. Let us see Mamnigal's commentary. Now, if the jivatmas ever think like this, Mamnigal says, starts with that. If the jivatmas think, now all along, bhagavAn and pirAtti have not accepted us. Now we know we have been in this samsara since time immemorial. There is no beginning. All along we have been in this samsara. Now, among all of these people in this world, I have been selected by bhagavAn and I have been accepted by him. That means I no longer have defects and I no longer have lack of good conduct. And because of my lack of defects and good qualities only, bhagavAn accepted me. If one thinks like that, then for this jivatma, akrityakaranam and krityakaranam will again come. How is that? For this particular jivatma, it is apt for the jivatma, it is akrityam, that is, the jivatma should never think that bhagavān and pirAtti accepted me because I was freed from all my defects. That is akrityam, that should not be done. But if I do it, then that means that is defect, that is dhOsham. Again, we have seen dhOsham is akritya karanam, doing what is forbidden. It is forbidden for the jivatma to think like that, thinking that I have been freed from my defects, that is why I have been accepted by bhagavān and pirAtti. So that itself is a defect, and by doing it, we will get new defects. Similarly, this particular aspect of lack of good qualities, if one thinks that I no longer have, I no longer lack any good qualities, that is why bhagavān accepted me. If we think like that, then that is also kritya, that will also come under krityakaranam. Krityakaranam means what is to be done. We should always think that we are very, very inferior, very lowly. We don't have any good qualities. Very beautiful pasarams are quoted here. Nammalvar is saying, Nishane nere ondru milen. I am the most lowly person. I am the lowliest person, most inferior person. Nere ondru milen. I don't have any good qualities. That is what we should think about ourselves always. Even if Nammalvar says like that, what is the scope for us to say that I have any good qualities? There is no scope at all. So that is highlighted here. In that Pasuram's Vyakyanam, Nampillai says, Nishane Nere Ondamilen. When Alvar thinks that I don't have any good qualities and I am full of defects, that means how to identify Alvar, according to Alvar's words, is if we take bad qualities or lack of good qualities, and if we take defects and make that as a form, a body, that will, Alvar thinks that that form is Alvar. That is what Alvar is thinking about himself. We all glorify Alvar as our Kulapati, as our Vaishnava leader, but Alvar thinks about himself as an embodiment of defects and lack of good qualities. So that is the krityam for us. That is what is to be done by us. Similarly, आळवन्दार स्तोत्रम् अमर्यादः क्षुद्रः चलमति असूया प्रसवभूः कृतघ्नो दुर्माणि परपरवशो वञ्चनपरः नृशंसः पापिष्टः. In this particular shlokam, many bad qualities are identified by by Alavandar. He says, Amaryadaha, I don't know the limits of Shastram. Amaryadaha, I don't know the limits of Shastram. Kshudraha, I am so attached to lowly aspects. Chalamatihi, my mind is so wavering. I am always going behind these lowly aspects. In this manner, he is identifying all his defects. So this is again something which every one of us should always do. We should always think about our bad qualities only. We have so many bad qualities. We don't accept in public, but we all know that we have bad qualities. So we have to also accept it in open. That is the duty of the Jivatma. Similarly, Budhvasha Ganosha, that is from Rangarajastavam, where where Parashara Bhattar is highlighting that he is committing so many offenses on a daily basis. Every day, constantly, he is committing hundreds of offenses towards Bhagavan. And he is saying Bhagavan is so merciful to accept all of those and still show his mercy upon Bhattar. So, this is again another example of how we should identify our own defects. And then Atikraman Nancha Nanyam. Atikraman Agyam. So, this is from Sri Rangarajastam again, where Bhattar is saying that how one will, Parashara Bhattar himself is saying how he is constantly violating the orders of Bhagavan and committing offenses towards Bhagavan and Bhagavatas and so on. So, this is the way we should manifest our defects in public. So, that is shown by our Alvars and Acharyas. So, this is again krityam for us. So when we don't do it, if we think that Bhagavan has accepted because we have been free of all the bad qualities, and if we don't do our Naichanusandhanam or identifying our defects, then that becomes kritya akaranam. So that is lack of good qualities. So when we think that we have gotten rid of dhOshams and guNahAni, if we think like that, naturally we will get dhOsham and guNahAni more. That is what is the conclusion here. So, in these three sutrams, we have seen the important points of bhagavAn and pirAtti accepting the Jivatma without looking at the defects and lack of good qualities in the Jivatma. And in the 16th sutram, we saw that if bhagavAn and pirAtti they think that only after eliminating the defects and only after the Jivatma acquiring good qualities, we will accept the Jivatma, then they will acquire defects and lack of good qualities. And finally, if the Jivatmas think that we have been accepted by Bhagavan because our defects have been uh, eliminated and because we have good qualities, then that will bring in more dhOsham and guNahAni for the Jivatma. So these three aspects are explained in these sutrams today, which we have seen. So these are the aspects which are very, very difficult to understand and put it in practice in our lives. That is why Mamnigal praised in the Upadesha Ratinamalai that ஆர் வசன பூடனத்தின் ஆழ்பொருள் எல்லாம் அறிவார் ஆர் அதிநேரில் அனுட்டிப்பார். Who can understand the meanings of SrIvachana bhushanam fully and who will be able to practice it. Now, even for us, when we hear the sutrams with the meanings, when we study it, it is making good sense. We are able to appreciate it. But when it comes to putting it in practice, we are struggling. Most of us are not even trying. But even if we try, it is very, very difficult. Very few people are able to attain such mindset and follow it in daily life. So that is why this SrIvachana bhushanam is very, very highly regarded and greatly glorified. That the highest principles are shown by Pillai in an effortless manner. Pillai was fully abiding by these rules. He was full of compassion. He was full of auspicious qualities. He was fully committed to um, helping the whole universe and uplifting them. And he had dedicated all his life for this only, for protecting the Sampradayam, protecting Bhagavan, protecting the Granthams and so on. So that is an example, ideal example for us to look up to. Oftentimes we see that sometimes we say that we don't have inspiration and we look out for inspiration from other Sampradayam, other um, people and so on. Nothing wrong in appreciating good qualities in others, but everything we can see, they are all available. All the most noble qualities, they are all available in our purvacharyas. They are our inspirations. We have to always look up to our purvacharyas and see who all practiced all of these principles in their lives. Kuratalvan, Parashara Bhattar, Embar, Emperumanar, Alvars, Pillai Lokacharya, Manavada Mamnigal. We have so many of these acharyas, they have all demonstrated in their lives very, very clearly how one should conduct oneself, even in dire situations. We are not going through any difficult situations. If we think that we are going through difficult situations, then we are only fooling ourselves. Look at our Alvar's lives, Acharya's lives, the amount of troubles they have had to go through. Our struggles are nothing compared to theirs. So we have to put things in perspective and get inspiration from our acharyas, how they lived and how they showed us this great sampradaya and great way of life, which will greatly facilitate our progress in spiritual life also. So with this, we will stop today. We will continue on the next session. So we will recite Pallandu and complete the session. Alvar Emberumanar, Jiyar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Jiyar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Vilelokachariyar Tiruvadigalai Sharanam, Pallandu Pallandu Pallayirattandu Palakodi Nooraayiram Mallandu Thindol Manivanna, உன் சேவடி செவிதிருக்காப்பு அடியோமோடும் நின்னோடும் பிரிவின்றி 1000 பல்லாண்டு வடிவாயினின் வளமார்பினில் வாழ்கின்ற மங்கையும் பல்லாண்டு வடிவார் சோதி வளத்துறையும் சில ஆழியும் பல்லாண்டு படப்போர்க்கு முழங்கும் அப்பாஞ்சி சங்கமும் பல்லாண்டு. சரியா, நாளைக்கும் காலையில இதே மாதிரி 11:30 ஸ்ரீவச்சன பூஷணம். நாளைக்கும் நாளைக்கும் பௌர்ணமி பிரதமைங்கிறதுனால 2 நாளும் அர்த்தம் தான் பார்க்க போறோம். நாளைக்கு காலையில ஸ்ரீவச்சன பூஷணம் வச்சுக்கலாம், 11:30 வச்சுக்கலாம். நாளைக்கு சாயந்தரம் கார்த்திகை தீபமா இருக்கு, அதனால வேண்டாம். மறுநாள் செவ்வாய்க்கிழமை அன்னைக்கு காலையிலயும் உண்டு, சாயந்தரமும் உண்டு. காலையில ஸ்ரீவச்சன பூஷணம் அர்த்தம் பார்க்கலாம், சாயந்தரம் ஆர்த்தி பிரபந்தத்துடைய அர்த்தம் பார்க்கலாம். அடியேன் ராமன் தாஸ்.